Welcome in, everyone. It's Tuesday night, which means one thing and one thing only. It's the Fantasy Cheat Sheet, brought to you by Going for Two. But before we get into the cast and crew, we gotta hit that intro.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is up, everyone? Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break. The Fantasy Cheat Sheet is back, coming in hot right out of the Thanksgiving bye. At least 75% of us are, but we'll be sure to hold down the fort. My name is Rahul, and as always, I'm joined by my great co-host, -1. Shout out here. But JV Farrow, how you doing, my man?
Man, as you can see, Mike is not here today. So let's kick this off with a bang. I got a joke for you guys. Why did the linebacker get arrested at the strip club? Because he kept trying to hold the tight ends.
All right, call the show. We're done. We're done. But, I can tell the vibe is already high. Jordan, how are you doing? I don't know if you can follow that one up, but
I'm good, man. I had a good week in fantasy, good Thanksgiving week. Got to spend some time with some fam. So I'm ready to talk some football. We're hitting the stretch run, getting ready for the fantasy playoffs. So I'm looking forward to it.
that's exactly right. We are in the business end of the season, but don't worry because the fantasy cheat sheet is here to help y'all prepare to win those championships. We are, of course, sponsored, hosted. I don't know what the right hosted is probably the right word. Hosted by Going for Two Live. So shout out to the website and Jeff Lambert. A lot of great content that you guys can follow along all the different platforms. But let's get right into the Monday night takeaways. Patriots versus Giants really seemed like a beatdown with just a smidge of a game until Young Oku probably had the most ridiculous kick attempt that I've ever seen. But Jamie, what was your takeaway from last night's game?
I want to talk about Keyshawn Booty. You got to stick that booty in the
Of
air,
course, of course.
grab them titties. So Keyshawn Booty, like he didn't put up big yardage, but he did make all of his touches actual count. Um, let's see, he catches his sixth touchdown last week. He finished with 4 catches, only 35 yards on 5 targets. But the highlight was that touchdown, and it came on a goal line slant where like he was in like a sharp route. It was a slant, and he cut sharp, and he actually showed that he had like strong hands. Caught it in traffic. Outside of that score, it was just really short area work for him all game. But he had no drops. There was no penalties on him called. He had a clean game. So in PPR formats, like he finished with 13 and a half fantasy points, basically top 24 receiver. So Booty's role is still just all situational, but he's become like one of those real red zone threat weapons, like 6 touchdowns on the season, 5 touchdowns in the last 6 games he played. So despite barely any yardage, only 50 yards the last 2 games. Look at the big picture. Like Booty on the field is running routes. He's on the field constantly, but the fantasy floor is shaky for him. He is touchdown dependent, and he's going to be like a dart throw the rest of the season. And in Dynasty, if you're a Dynasty manager, he is a deep league stash with sneaky upside if his role grows coming years, like next year, year after.
Mhm. I absolutely hear that. I mean, Kayshawn Booty is like a minor fancy piece in the grand scheme of things, but honestly, I think one of the better stories to emerge out of this year. I'm not sure if you guys caught. There's an interview he did a couple of weeks ago where the reporters asked him like, "Hey, like what is different? What's contributing to your breakout this year?" And he like very personally like admits like I don't know if I had like my head screwed on right like the last couple of years out of college in the first year. first couple of years in the NFL. And remember, this guy was a Debbie Darling, right? Like he had a breakout as a true freshman on that LSU team, and it kind of hit rock bottom where he like came into the combine like honestly posted like atrocious numbers like across the board. Like whoever's advising him should have told him like do not do any of these exercises. But it is really good to see, and a nice story that could provide some upside like Jamie just mentioned there.
And his name is so fun to say.
He is certainly a favorite of the show here. I'm surprised you didn't work in that tight end joke from the start into the booty discussion. We'll save that for next episode. But Jordan, what about you? What was your takeaway from last night's game?
Not as optimistic as Jamie was on Kayshawn, but just it seems that as long as Ramondre is healthy, no matter how much more explosive Travion is, no matter what kind of upside he provides for the offense, it's going to be close to a 50-50 split. Ramondre had one more touch last night, wasn't as effective with it as we can all anticipate, but he's still being used as long as he's healthy, and it's going to always – I mean, we don't know what it's going to look like next season, but for the rest of this season, as long as Ramondre is healthy, it's going to cap Trevion's upside that he was able to show in some of the games that Ramondre didn't play. But now that he's back, fumbling issues didn't stop it. Lack of explosiveness is not going to stop it. So, and they're winning games using those two guys and the formula that they have. So I don't see it changing. It just sucks because he showed us just a little bit of what he can do as he's still learning to play NFL football. So I can only imagine what it looks like in the future. But for now, we're going to have to kind of temper our expectations because he's going to be sharing it with Ramondre for the foreseeable future. Well, the rest of this season for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man. Ramondre's capping Henderson's upside, but Henderson is just so explosive. I'm not going to be able to sit him at all in any of my leagues because he was getting passes earlier in the game over Stevenson, but he just wasn't getting the carries. So
yeah. The interesting thing to see, well, first coming out of the bye, it's a very late bye for the Patriots, and we always talk about this post-bye rookie bump, and I wonder if that applies when the bye comes in week 14 and Ramondre's been out, but they come back into games against the Bills and the Ravens, and that's when, getting into the important stage of the season, like it is for us in fantasy, it's very important to the NFL teams around this time of year. Is that when they start to give a little bit over to a little bit more to Travion? On the evidence so far, it doesn't seem like it, but I'm very curious to see. My takeaway, another one that might seem a little minor, but Devin Singletary's quietly been very fantasy relevant since the Scattaboo injury. I think certainly myself included thought it was going to be turned right over to Tyrone Tracy because that's what we saw in the room that existed last year, Tracy and Singletary, and it was dominated by Tracy. But Singletary is not only commanded a 50% split in most of the games, he seems to be getting the high leverage touches. Last night, 12 for 68 with a touchdown on the ground. Also had 3 targets, 3 receptions for 34 yards. Good for 17.7 points in half PPR. 17, 14, and 15 touches in his last 3 games. And the crucial one, which I think might make Singletary a viable starter during our fantasy playoffs, is Tyrone Tracy ended up getting carted off in the third quarter with it's called like a hip injury. I saw a hip injury one poor. We haven't got all the prognosis. Of course, they are going to the bye. So a lot of this might mean nothing by the time the Patriots play again. But Singletary's looked pretty decent. And I think this team, 2-10, 2-11 now,
2-11, yeah.
They really do not need Dart like dropping back like 40 times a game. They won't be able to, but they should try and limit him. And I think that could lead to bigger workloads on the ground. So I'd imagine Singletary's rostered in most of the leagues out there. But if you do have him, that could be a really sneaky little flex play when you come back in week 15 there. Any other? Yeah, sorry.
We do have a question in the chat from my dude Jason. J-Man's asking, hey guys, is it too early for Dynasty rookie mocks? It is never too early for any type of mocks. I I've already seen a few. If you go to the FF Universe, my buddy Jeremy Schulman at the FF Universe, they've been doing mocks. Dynasty Degens, they do mocks. Love those guys. We all know it's going to be the Jeremiah Love. He's going to be the top guy. There's a bunch of receivers that could be top picks. Cordell Tate is going to be a first rounder. And there's a handful of quarterbacks that I'm actually interested in going into next year. So never too early. What do you guys think?
I'm personally not doing it right now, but I do believe that they have people out there doing them, so it's never too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, in years past, I've been deep in the box by this time, and then certain Zach Evans burnt me real hard. So I'm waiting a little more in this day and age. So let's move on to first segment, I suppose the second segment of the night, and that is real or fake. I think pretty close to Mike, just missing a little bit of hair on the beard, but close enough. So, Jamie, take us through your real and fake for tonight.
I'm going to start with my real. It's Kyle Pitts. Can we finally admit it? Kyle Pitts is that dude when he is actually allowed to be the guy. And I'm looking at you, Raul, because we've talked about this at the Dynasty Six Pack a couple weeks ago. But look, I'm not here to pretend the Falcons have used him correctly because they haven't at all. But Arthur Smith, he treated him like a damn decoy half the time. And even this year, the targets, they've actually been criminal. And but looking at every single time Drake London has missed time, Kyle Pitts turns into that unicorn we all saw him in college and expected him to be in the NFL. Like week 13, Drake London out. Pitts gets 9 targets, 7 catches, 82 yards, leads the team in receiving. He's moving chains like it's 2021 again. That's not a coincidence. That's what happens when the offense actually tunnels touches to the elite talent. People love calling him a bust because if you look at his counting stats and his box scores, they aren't video game numbers. But go watch the tape. The catch radius, the body control, the way he plucks balls outside of his frame and he just keeps running. That's generational shit right there. So when London's out, Pitts isn't just involved. He's the whole damn offense. And honestly, even when London comes back, they need to keep feeding him like this because the talent isn't the question. Never has been. Kyle Pitts isn't just good for a tight end. He's top 5 talent. Raul, we talked about that the other week. He is top 5 talent at the position. And he's just stuck in a phone booth the past 4 years. So let this man cook. Get him up into that top 5 talent again.
So for the sake of our segment, I believe in the talent. I believe that he's capable. But is this a real performance that we can count on for the sake of fantasy purposes this season? I'm not sure because we can never count on the Falcons offense. And that's the biggest issue. With Kirk Cousins this year, he has gotten more targets. Obviously, that coincides with Drake London being out. So as long as London is out, this is a real performance. I have yet to see it when London is in consistently. And I mean, the Falcons have no reason to rush Drake London back. They are 3-10, won't make the playoffs. So, or whatever their record is. And so I'm not sure he'll play this week. And if he doesn't, what would be the point of coming back? I hope he comes back as a person who has him on a bunch of teams getting ready for the playoffs. But I'm not sure they have any incentive to. But they say he's day-to-day, so it's possible. And I would like to see it with him. Now, they play Seattle this week. Tough matchup. not necessarily as much for tight ends. So maybe that is something that he can capitalize off of. Kirk Cousins likes him, has been throwing it to him. So we'll see. I believe in the talent, like I said, but every time I've been all in on Pitts, he's disappointed. And that's more of a Falcons situation than him. But he's still playing for the Falcons, so I can't 100% buy in.
So I got a question for Raul. A couple weeks ago, we talked, and you guys were combating me because I said he could be a top 5 dynasty tight end in the future. You were selling him for late seconds, early thirds. If he keeps this up, do you think he can hop into that top 5 talent?
I think he can because Jamie, like you laid it out, like the talent, like the build that Kyle Pitts has, that unlocks a fantasy ceiling that is simply not available to the majority of the tight ends in the league, right? This is a big wide receiver who was drafted 4th overall in the NFL draft. It's quite funny to go back and look at the guys who were taken right after him, but the upside that exists to Kyle Pitts, the ceiling case, is like simply not accessible to most people. But if you look, my kind of worry and why that episode, and I still would advocate selling him in Dynasty, is like if you kind of look at maybe the bell curve of where his outcomes could be, I think a lot of them are probably in like, yeah, this is probably the most we're gonna get out of him. That being said, I think it's going to be one of the. I believe he's a free agent after this season, so I think it's going to be a great storyline to watch. And if he lands in any of those spots that, of course, have a great quarterback or really are missing a second reliable wide receiver, that late second, early third price, that's going to be like, damn, I sold low right now because just that. The theoretical upside, whether or not we see it, that theoretical upside is going to get you a much higher price. So I think I'm coming around to your thinking on that discussion for sure, Jamie.
I know I'm onto something there.
Yeah. So take us through this. I think this will be a good discussion. But take us through your fake player this week, Jamie.
My fake is Lamar Jackson. So the last 3 games, it's been rough for him. He was sacked something like 9 times in the last 3 games. Over the last 3 weeks, his momentum crashed. But it's the injuries that they pile up constantly. He had a knee injury, he had an ankle injury, then there was a toe injury. Lamar hasn't missed a game, but you can tell that the wear and tear is actually catching up with him. That offense, it really has cooled off. Like Lamar is completing only 57% of his throws over the last three games. No touchdowns, 3 picks, and he's barely running under 30 rushing yards a game. That is not like Lamar Jackson. The defense is doing its part, but the offense just looks out of sync. And it's the worst time for them because they're trying to get that playoff spot. So if Lamar gets healthy and finds his rhythm, the Ravens can still make a playoff push. But if not, like this slump, it might define their season. But like right now, it's hard to trust Lamar. But at the same time, like, can you really bench him on your fantasy roster? Like, I'm calling him a fake, despite these injury concerns being real. But like these past games, they should not define his talent. And with his contract coming up, I think it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, that's always the worry with these running quarterbacks. It's the longevity, and that certainly plays into any financial decision. But keeping it with Lamar this year, I agree that it's fake. And if anything on the onset, like, damn, Bengals defense, and he put up a single digit performance. I think no passing touchdowns in 3 games. But watching the game beyond the box score, he had what should have been a long touchdown to Isaiah Likely that was fumbled through the goalpost. He had another explosive to Zay Flowers that Zay fumbled on. He showed his ability, finally showed that ability to extend plays, even if the rushing numbers weren't there. He extended more plays than in the previous 2 weeks, and he ran for a couple of first downs. Again, the numbers weren't there. So I think beneath the surface level of what, yes, was a bad performance against a bad defense, I'm a little more encouraged that there's actually improvement in Lamar's situation, that to answer the question that you ended your statement with, Jamie, like, can you bench him? No, I simply could not bench Lamar because of the weekly ceiling that he could provide, especially when we get down to the the business end of the season when you're also playing the other best teams in your league. I need the guy in my team that's gonna has that 30+ point ceiling. So worry, yes, but not worried enough to make me move away from Lamar Jackson. As J Man there says,
Yeah,
is Lamar even fantasy relevant? Man, I saw a couple of tweets that were like, should I drop Lamar for like, shoot,
brisket.
I don't. Yeah, that might have been the exact one. But
Disrespectful.
Well,
yeah.
I've been getting a lot of questions. My friend asked me, "Hey, do I start Drake May or Lamar?" And I actually
Mhm,
have a team in a single quarterback league, dynasty, with Lamar and Drake May, and I
Uh,
started Drake
me,
May
yeah,
every single
yeah.
time, and I kept he kept arguing with me, and I'm like, "No, Lamar is not right. He's hurt. There's something wrong with him. If he was completely healthy, it would be a completely different story." But
mhm.
I think you have to consider Lamar in the top 12 still, but you have to temper expectations depending on who you have. And I want to say,
Yeah.
what's up to Kyle? What's up, Kyle?
How's it going, Kyle? Yeah, Jordan, any thoughts on Lamar, or if not, feel free to jump into your real and fake.
No, yeah, nah, y'all pretty much covered it with Lamar. I think it's more of an injury thing for him right now. So you got to temper your expectations. But I'm gonna go into my real. I think this was a guy we talked about at some point earlier this season. And I don't remember
Mhm.
what side of it we were on. But I'm gonna go with my real for this week is Kyle Monangai. 130 plus yards against the Eagles, scored a touchdown, I believe, for the fourth straight game with a
Mhm.
touchdown. He's gotten double digit carries in 4 of the last 5, obviously, one of which Swift was out. But the reason why I say it's real, I don't think he's going to run for 100 yards every week. This was a bad weather game, windy, so they relied on the run game. Swift and Monangai had a big game, but he has easily, it seems, turned into the goal line back. So he's getting those goal line opportunities, scoring touchdowns. The passing game, they can't really rely on it right now. Ben Johnson is disappointed.
Mhm.
He's talked about that, so they're relying on the run. Swift has never really handled a full workload by himself, so that's key in him on a team that's running the ball really well. I think that this can continue him getting double digit carries as they move down the stretch run. They have the Packers this week, which I sometimes think is a bad matchup, and then somebody runs over them. So I'm not going to doubt the Bears after what they did to the Eagles. They are capable of running on anyone. So I could see him getting double digit carries again. It's going to be a tough game for Caleb. Michael Parsons is going to be on him as much as possible. So they're going to rely on the run again. And I can see Monangai having a solid, RB2 type of game. Nothing, not 130 yards again, but some solid numbers, flex value possibly.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you, Jordan. I think it's just too hard to ignore at this point, and I think especially like we look at all these splits like coming out of the bye that it's truly turned to like a drive by drive committee, a very situational committee, like especially around the goal line, like you said. And the easiest comparison for us to make is like this is the Walmart version of Gibbs and Monty, but honestly, it is. And like you think of the profiles of the players, like
I would
Swift.
say like Dollar General, but yeah,
What is Dollar General above Walmart or below Walmart?
it's below Walmart.
Okay. Yeah, but in the types of runs that both like
Yeah.
Monanga is that hard nose between the tackles runner and Swift. Longtime Swift hater here, but Swift has shown a lot of improvement in his vision, his ability to work through tackles, and very good on those outside runs, on those like tosses to the perimeter. And I think both of them are developing to great complement. And that point you said, like the pass game has really been struggling. Caleb been all up and down. A lot of talent in the receiving weapons, but again, some inconsistencies and a lot of young players. And I think that's only going to make them lean into that run a little more, perhaps even to protect Caleb, protect that defense that's been getting better, but still a little bit shaky. And then I look at the schedule. You mentioned Packers once. It's actually Packers twice over the next 3 games, with one game against the Cleveland Browns. all of these games could be, difficult to pass. Let's just lean on what's been working, and that's certainly been the run game. So I agree with you here, Jordan, that
So
Manunga is real.
this is very interesting because I'm actually starting to come around on the guy. I know he was a talent coming in. He fell drastically in the draft because there were so many other good talents.
Mhm.
But I'm going to call this the Ben Johnson effect because we've seen it with Gibbs, like you guys said, it was a dollar store version of him, right? This past week, it's crazy because if you compare Gibbs and Monty, they both had 12 and 13 points, and
Mhm.
in this game, Manungai and Swift both had like 20 and 19 points, so
Yeah.
very close, right? So I think Ben Johnson is the one that's elevating this guy. So you can't ignore it.
Yeah. It's hard to ignore. So what about your fake this week, Jordan?
I just had to hurry up and do this for everyone who might have fallen for this okie doke as I have before in years past. Dontavian Wicks, don't do it, guys. Don't run to pick him up. Finished as the wide receiver 2 in standard leagues last week against the Lions, but wide receiver 3 in PPR, but 7 targets, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hadn't had more than 38 yards in any other game this year. Jaden Reed is going to be coming back soon. The
Mhm.
Packers have a slew of guys that they throw the ball to, spread it around. So don't fall for it. It was a good game. Christian Watson had a good game as well. I would lean more into getting Watson as opposed to
Mhm.
Wicks if you had to choose between the two. And I've fallen for Dontavian Wicks before in the possibilities when we had a much thinner receiving core and it didn't work out. This Golden will be back. Reed is coming back. We have Watson. Dobbs is still there. Don't do it.
Yeah, you said it perfect, man. And even in Dynasty, this is the perfect chance to sell Wicks
Mhm.
because there's a guy, Savion Williams, who's
Mhm.
still in the background just waiting to break out. And he's a way better receiver, in my opinion, than Wicks. And they play the same type of position. So go sell Wicks.
Yeah. No, I agree with both of you guys. It's a chance for all your favorite Twitter gurus to say that they were never wrong just early, but time to sell it, sell Wicks to those guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Before we move on, we have some questions in the chat.
let's
Can
do
we
it.
hit these real quick?
Yep.
Let's see. First one. Would you drop Vidal or Neal for Jordan Mason with Jones' injury? We seen Jones' injury before, and Jordan Mason wasn't that great. He didn't have that much upside. So no, I am willing to drop Vidal for him just because we have Hampton coming back. But Devin Neal is going to be the lead back in that offense. So I would keep Neal. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think there are some teams on which I would drop Vidal for him, specifically if I absolutely needed a RB2 to plug in and I had no other startable options. Then I would go for Jordan Mason because, like you said, Jamie, he was better. He was decent early in the year as the sole back, but that's on a team that had Carson Wentz and kind of look, a little competent. The Vikings have been very far from competent. Like, Devin Neal is like a very good comp because Jordan Mason might get all the touches on what might be like the 30th best offense in the NFL. So if you do need to start a guy, consider dropping Vidal. But if you're picking up Mason to keep him on your bench and perhaps survey the options, then I would still prefer Vidal because we know that Vidal, if he is a starter, is a strong RB option. So I prefer that ceiling. What do you think there, Jordan?
We don't even know if Aaron Jones will miss the game, so
Yeah.
that's always the game you play. Um, I was not impressed with Devin Neal at all in his performance, but
Mm.
I mean, we know for sure he's gonna get the touches right now. I like Jordan Mason. I liked him more last year when he filled in the games that I mean, he only had like 1 or 2 really decent games, so that it's tough. I guess I would keep the guys that you have. But they have the Vikings have the Redskins. I mean, the Redskins. Wow, the Commanders.
Yeah, so
Uh,
bad.
the Cowboys and the Giants in the next 3 games. So that's like 3 really good matchups. So maybe on that, it's worth the look. But that's hoping that Jones is out. Because if Jones is in, even with Jones out, Xavier Scott gets like the passing down work. So Jordan Mason doesn't catch hardly any passes.
Yeah, we got another one. Swift or Pierce? I'm assuming this is Alec Pierce because it's definitely not Damian Pierce. I'm probably gonna say Swift on this one.
I'd still stick with Swift despite Pierce turning into a legitimate asset. I'd still stick with Swift.
Same.
Sweet. And then Kyle, we all know you love your RSO leagues. Love that.
We got to catch you up on this Jahmyr Gibbs trade that Kyle is talking about because he sold the house, the farm, I suppose it's saying, but he did get Jahmyr Gibbs. Any other questions right now?
Yeah, we got thoughts on Daniel Jones this week. So in my opinion, I think he could be a top 15-ish type guy, depending on who else you have. I know he's playing Jacksonville this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So I have him right now. My early rankings. I know it's going to change. So I have him at 15. I just can't put him above guys like Baker Mayfield. Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels if he plays. I'm even thinking about starting Tyrod Taylor over Daniel Jones just because they're going against Miami.
Yeah, I think Jones, the worry, especially in fantasy, is how much this injury affects his mobility, affects his rushing upside, affects his ability to get those few goal line carries and touchdowns he was getting, especially when you have, just turn it around. Hey, if I have a fractured fibula, I'm turning around and handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor, man. I'm not diving in there. So, still a good start, but behind a couple of options there.
All right, so we have Raul's real or fake. Let's get into these because these are very interesting.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go with my real as Jacoby Myers traded over from the Raiders to the Jaguars mid-season. 3 games in a row now with 6 targets, including 6 for 6. 6 for 6. 6 targets, 6 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown his last game. And why I think this is really important is that it's been clear to everyone watching the game, clear from Liam Cohen's coach speak. They are looking for a reliable guy who's going to catch the ball when it's thrown to him. And that's what Jacoby Myers did. That's what Brenton Strange, to a certain extent, also did and does for this team. Guys who you can depend on moving the change when called upon. BTJ did come back, hampered by injury, perhaps. Weird game against the Titans, right? This is barely a contest, so how much can you read into it? But I think Jacoby Myers is here to stay as an integral part of the offense. I know Parker Washington also did get injured, but a lot of Jacoby's production came before the Parker Washington injury. And I think straight up, I'd probably take Myers as still the better player. So I do think this Jacoby Myers breakout is real on the Jaguars. I think he's going to be at least in the wide receiver 3 conversation for the next couple of weeks. But Jamie, what do you think here about Jacoby?
I just can't go as far as calling him a real because 21 points doesn't seem real for him. I'm thinking more like 11 to 15. That's more in that real range. But he'll be a player that he's going to try to get that new contract, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's going to do good rest of the year. He's a flex option. Going into next season, looking farther ahead, people are going to overdraft him. And I just think he'll turn into one of those duds on a new team that actually has more talent ahead of him.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because Jacoby is like part of that group of receivers, like your like a Tyler Lockett type, like an Adam Thielen type, that's like constantly drafted behind where they end up finishing. But yeah, if he like gets some kind of momentum and then re-signs or again flashy new team, could be set up for a little bit of a downfall there. But that's my real Jacoby Myers. On my fake, long-standing topic again here on the cheat sheet, but I'm gonna go with RJ Harvey, man. And this kind of pains me to say, but honestly, guys, like I don't think Harvey's been really that good running the ball. Really that good, might be playing a little soft. We'll go Jordan and then Jamie, but I just think like last two games, his two games as a starter, 2.7 yards per carry, 11 and 13 attempts in those two games. Dud really masked by two touchdowns. And touchdown, like this is a guy who's proven he can score touchdowns at the NFL level. He's a touchdown weapon. But I don't think as a lead back, he's kind of showed what we would have expected maybe when we drafted him at the mid first round in dynasty drafts, all those months ago in like the 6th round of redraft, like when he got the opportunity, we are like, damn, like this guy is going to be like a high end RB2. And I've just not been seeing that from RJ Harvey. So, Jordan, what do you think about Harvey, his performance so far? Do you think that struggle on the ground can improve, or just how are you viewing him for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's one of those volume is king type of scenarios. His efficiency is going to be bad. He's still figuring it out, it seems like, but he's going to score touchdowns. He's going to get those opportunities in the red zone. He was getting those when Dobbins was healthy, scoring touchdowns, whether it was in the passing game or running. So he's going to still have that role. The Broncos offense, depending on the opponent, can drive up and down the field and give him those opportunities. But as far as like, I don't see his efficiency. They still have the Chiefs, I believe, one more time, so I don't see him looking good in that matchup. But with the opportunities, Sean Payton always finds a way to get his running backs fantasy production, and he's the lead back. He's going to have opportunities. He's going to score some points, but it's going to be ugly. It's one of those things where you don't want to watch it, and you just hope the touchdowns and the points come in at the end.
Yeah, I hear you there. Anything on Harvey, Jamie?
It's just hard to call him a fake. He's seen, 4 targets last game. He's going to see targets consistently. Those 2 touchdowns won't happen all the time. But I could still see, like, one. And even if he had that one with the 60 yards he had, he's still going to be a RB2. Going forward, top 12 is going to be hard. This week coming up, week 14, he has Vegas.
The Raiders, yeah.
Yes, so that is going to be a blow-up game for him. But going in to the fantasy playoffs, you got Green Bay, who's tough. Jacksonville, they're tough. And then, like Jordan said, week 17 against the Chiefs, I think he's going to lose a lot of people leagues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see this as a fake, as a point to where you may not want to start him in your fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I just think the expectation was so high from myself as well. And, you can't even see like individual runs. He doesn't know exactly which, running lane to take. I think there are a lot that could be improved in this game. That was real and fake. So let's move on to our next segment, which is the host topic, starting off with Matchup Mania from Jamie there. So take it away, Jamie.
So with Mike out, I'm just gonna rant right now. So I want to talk about the Raiders. Like, we all know the Raiders have been a complete dumpster fire all year. Brock Bowers, he only has 5 games over 10 points, and they played him injured early in the year. Week 1, he should have been sat after that injury, but then they played him. He didn't do well. Then he missed some more games after that. So, Genty, he hasn't lived up to his potential. You got to remember, he's playing behind a train wreck of an offensive line. So, the receiving core is relying on a bunch of rookies, and they just brought in a 33-year-old wide receiver on his last leg who nothing to play for. What the hell are you doing there? Geno Smith, quarterback, 28 in points per game. He only has 2 games over 20 points this season. 9 games under 15 points. That's not a quarterback you can trust. So here's a list of things I would trust more than starting Raiders in my fantasy lineup going into the fantasy playoffs. Let's start with a Cowboys playoff run. I trust them more. Gas station sushi in the middle of a desert. Yes, of course.
Ooh.
A driving class ran by Henry Ruggs.
Just
How
please.
about a Nigerian prince who needs $500 to unlock an inheritance and promises to send you double the money back? Yeah, give him my $500. I trust that more. A rattlesnake with a pet me sign next to it. Yeah, I'll pet it. I'd even trust an aspirin at a P. Diddy party before going on a date with a lady in Thailand while we sip on mixed drinks by Bill Cosby. And to top it off, I'll eat a medium rare steak made by Jeffrey Dahmer before I trust all that. So, of course, we're starting Genty and Bowers, but check the matchups coming up and tell me you're actually comfortable starting these guys against these defenses and pretending you're not low-key terrified.
That was well done. That was well done. A little extreme, but well done.
I heard no lies being told though. We'll say that. Well, what about you, Jordan? It's time for the crystal ball of rants, perhaps?
No. So I'm gonna say really quickly that Devontae Adams is gonna score multiple TDs. I think for the fifth time. Yeah, Kyle, it was very dark. Devontae Adams is going to score multiple TDs for the fifth time this year in a game against the Cardinals. The Rams are going to be bouncing back from a loss against the Panthers, and they're gonna light it up on the Cardinals. And Devontae Adams is the red zone threat. Puka gets him down there, and Adams scores the touchdowns. That's how it's been going. That's how it'll continue. But I want to take a brief sidetrack to kind of softly rant about something that's tangentially related to Devontae Adams. The Panthers have had some impressive wins this year. They scored over 30 points on one of the best defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
The best receiver on that team, 1 catch, 45 yards or 40-something yards, and a touchdown. Bryce Young has to be better at getting it to the best weapon on the team. I don't want to see some guy named Evans catching the ball. I don't want to see Xavier Lee get these chances and drop the ball. Throw the ball to Ted. We want Ted. Like 6'4", fast, has good hands, a red zone target. Like, get him the ball. I know he can't see over the line, but like, I'm just sick of like having to hope that now a touchdown is saving his weeks the last couple of weeks. At the beginning of the year, he was getting a lot of targets and getting yards, but no touchdowns. And now he's getting touchdowns, no yards. Like, Bryce needs to get it together. I'm sick of like crossing my fingers and I see Jalen Coker with the game-winning touchdown, with the go-ahead touchdown, and then Ted sealed it. But I this little munchkin-sized guy needs to get the ball to his top weapon. So I'm done.
Give him a step stool.
No, but absolutely. Even though the last game was a lot weather afflicted, it lent into that run game. The previous game, San Francisco played in perfect weather, 2 catches on 7 targets. A lot of these are like nowhere near. Ted has had a few drops, but he needs to be the centerpiece of this offense. He's the center of all that's really good with the Panthers. So let me go on to what is usually known as boom and doom. It's going to be rant and rant today, baby. First, my boom rant is going to be Jameson Williams versus the Cowboys. The real rant of this is, man, I woke up all excited on Thanksgiving morning, ready for my turkey, ready for my stuffing. And the first play of the game, Amon-Ra St. Brown, locked into countless lineups, goes out, and all my ops, bro, like all of them have Jameson Williams on their team, goes out for 23 points. And I think J-Mo is going to be a top 5 wide receiver again in week 14. He's got Thursday night against the Cowboys, what projects to be a shootout. Amon-Ra is very unlikely to play. We already know Laporta is out. The run game has been there. I mean, it is there, like still a significant threat, but it's been kind of in pieces. The Dallas defense, I think the stats will still say this is a plus matchup, but in the last couple of games, ever since Quinton Williams has joined the Cowboys, they've been a lot stiffer against the run. So I think JMO is going to be the center of all the lines do, and I got to check all my matchups and make sure that he's not going off against me. So that I'll say that's probably the mini rant of the segment. The main rant, my Doom player of the week, Romo Dunze, because in a parallel universe, this guy is leading me to millions and millions of dollars because he's had literally all of my underdog teams drafted in so many leagues, and he has to be one of the most frustrating players in fantasy and also in real life. Like, this is a guy drafted, what, 9th overall NFL draft, a blue chip prospect, and there's still just so many little things in his game that need improvement, specifically with his hands. We called it out. Even when we praised Roma Dunze, we call out that like this guy has a couple too many drops. Body control on the sideline, very poor. Came into the league as like a contested catch, like Maverick, and I'm just not seeing that ability. There is some of the blame has to lay on Caleb Williams, who's also similarly inconsistent, but Roma Dunze in the underdog pick and lobby, he's projected for 35.5 receiving yards against the Green Bay Packers. Man, this is someone that I am strongly looking to avoid. And unfortunately, in a lot of my leagues, man, I don't even have another option. It could have been so different. Rant over.
All right, so I got a question for you. So Packers, sorry Jordan, but they are pretty average first wide receivers, allowing almost 30 points the last 2 weeks. So is this a DJ Moore game? Is this a blow-up game for DJ Moore? Or are you seeing like Burden having a huge breakout if Odunze doesn't do shit?
It could be Burden, it could be Colston Loveland, it could be DJ Moore. There's just like so many guys in that room, and I think maybe my biggest frustration with Odunze, this is projecting a lot on like the second year guy, right? But I think he looked poised to be the go-to guy in this receiving room, and whether it's through Odunze's own shortcomings or just the way Ben Johnson and Caleb want to spread the ball out, he had not jumped into that role. So, Jamie, like you said, actually, like there could be a little bit more to this matchup than I letting on, but I just find it so hard to trust Romo Dunze, especially now in these money weeks.
Because I'm going to be honest, I'm sitting DJ Moore in a league for a guy that we're going to be talking about in the waiver wire section, and you'd be like, "What? You're sitting a waiver wire guy over DJ Moore?" Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
let's before we get into the waivers and the promo, let's hit these questions real quick. I've seen one right here. Going to the Browns game versus Titans. I'm also going to the Browns game. I'm pretty sure I'm sitting next to you. Who has more yards, Ward or Sanders? Now, let me give you my interpretation of this. Sanders isn't going to get yards because the NFL doesn't want him to for some reason. And they're just going to run the ball. Stefanski is just going to hand the ball off constantly just to screw over Sanders, to not have yards, to not make him look good. What do you guys think?
I still think he's going to have more yards than Cam Ward because Myles Garrett might break the sack record.
Well, yeah, he is, but you can't run on the Browns, so you have to throw it. So I see people saying that the Titans are going to win straight up or the Browns are going to cover. So if it's going to be a close game, the Browns are going to have to run and the Titans are going to have to throw.
Yeah, I you know what? I still would go with Shedeur Sanders here.
Yes.
But yeah, and that's like Myles Garrett and the boys against Cam Ward is a scary proposition. But I always think about what Jamie said about like whether they're like trying to keep Shedeur down a little bit because every time they get near the goal line,
they take him out. They take him out of the game completely.
I don't remember them doing that with Dylan Gabriel, but maybe
there's a conspiracy to fuck over Shedeur Sanders, and I'm all about it. But
Wow.
Whatever.
So Jamie, so have you come around a little bit more on him?
I'm
from the
trying.
last-
So ever since Trump came out and started supporting Shador, and all these weirdos are gonna just start going against him. I I gotta support the guy. I'm just being honest, dude.
I hope that answers the question.
So let's see. I got a league where, what does this say, Kyle? Where he's starting Debo and
Easy.
Jaden Higgins over. Yeah, I don't know if I would start Higgins, but maybe DJ Moore for sure.
Higgins versus the Chiefs or Moore versus the Packers? Honestly, Higgins has been he's become a full-time player in this offense. I don't hate that.
All right, so are we ready for the ad read?
Yes, sir. Jamie, if you can pop, if our technical skills, oh, there we go. Ad read, yeah, we gotta pay the bills. So Going for Two is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. You can use our promo code GF2 to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash with their deposit match. Mike does this so well, but I think his calculations are right. If you play on Underdog, there is a 6-7% chance that you're going to be in a league with our boy Jamie Perot out there. There's all types of draft games. If you're if you're going to miss your fantasy fix, start getting into those playoff draft lobbies, man. Playoff fantasy football has a completely different strategy that can be very interesting. Obviously, get on your prop bets, your parlays, in select states. Now they finally allow you to bet on the spread. California finally getting in on that action. But go check out Underdog. Use promo code GF2 to get your $1,000 bonus cash match. Also, you could just use that QR code down there because we're in the 21st century. Yeah, go play on Underdog.
Yeah, and you can go head to head. You can play in tournaments. I only did one Best Ball Mania tournament entry, and I am advancing in that tournament.
Let's go.
And the league I drafted in, it was with Best Ball Bruni, my dude Bruni over at Fanspeak and Fantasy Six Pack, and I'm advancing in that league. So let's get me some money.
Yes, sir. So let's get on to the cheat of the week. Week 14 waivers. It's potentially never been bigger, and time to spend that fab because you certainly can't go home with it. So, starting off with Jamie, who's your waiver wire pickup of the week?
I have one specific one I want to talk about, but if we have time, I have a few extra that I'll mention. But John Mechie is a start this week because I see AD Mitchell. He is a buy for me in Dynasty, and he did steal that spotlight last week. But John Mechie still stayed involved with 8 targets, and he scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. So bottom line, like Mechie's usage is steady enough, and that red zone involvement is actually real, and he should continue to be a significant piece in this Jets offense, even though they suck. But they game plan moving forward on him, and they get the Jags week 15, so that's something to consider.
Yeah,
I agree.
I like that. Give us the other tale because Jordan, you have his teammate on there.
Yep.
Yeah, man. AD Mitchell, like Jamie said, he kind of stole the show this past week. Electrifying player. Finally figured out how to catch the ball this past week, so that was good. Tyrod connected with them. I like the talent is there. We saw it in spurts in Indianapolis. So I like the Jets are going to be trailing in a lot of games, so they're going to be throwing him and Mechie. I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to come back this season. So it's going to be those 2 guys the rest of the way, kind of getting all that work. So if you can pick him up. A couple of other names I just wanted to throw out there. Devon Vele with the Saints. Disgusting offense, I know, but he's gotten 17 targets over the last 2 games, starting to kind of put some performances together. Chris Olave dropped a touchdown that would have won him the game, so maybe they start not going away from him, but in tandem with Olave, those 2 guys. Brandon Cooks is no longer there. Rashid Shaheed is no longer there, so it's him and it's Olave getting those targets, so you can pick him up. If Mike Evans is available for some people, he's available in one of my leagues, and I'm praying to God I can get him. So he might come back this week, and even if you don't need him for this week, he could be a league winner once he's healthy with Baker. So that's just a couple guys I want to throw out.
If my calculations are correct, Mike Evans needs about 800
2
yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he can get that in 3 games, right?
Yeah.
That could be a league winner for sure. I remember a couple years ago, I want to say 2022, Mike Evans had a terrible year all year and then put up like 50 points in week 17. He had like 200 yards and like 2-3 touchdowns against the Panthers. So, hey man, that's a great call. Jamie, you said you had a couple other guys you want to recommend?
Oh yeah, because this is crunch time, ride or die time. It's do or die. So if you need someone in like a single quarterback league, go get Jacoby Brissett. We all know how much we love Jacoby Brissett on this podcast. Trevor Lawrence is also another good one, but I still believe in Tyrod Taylor this week as a top 20 quarterback. Trey Benson is someone you can look at. He's going to be coming back soon. Devin Neal. Kyle Monungai, we mentioned earlier, is definitely a good ad. But if you can't get those guys, go get Blake Corum. Go get maybe Chris Rodriguez or Bam Knight if you're desperate. Then Chris Godwin, he's going to be healthy. We saw it last week. Alec Pierce, maybe he's out there. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. Definitely go get Tesla with the injury to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jaden Higgins, we talked about a little bit earlier. Definitely a good grab. Juwan Johnson at tight end is a must grab. I seen someone drop Dalton Kincaid, which is idiotic, but go grab him if he's available. Kyle Pitts, for some reason, he may be out there. Go grab him. Brenton Strange, definitely. Darren Waller and Dalton Schultz, those are the guys that you need to go after.
Yeah. So let me ask you both this. I have a league where Caleb Williams has been my quarterback in. Jaden Daniels absent. So Daniels may or may not come back this week, but I do not want to roll out Caleb against the Packers on the waiver wire. We have Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Tyrod Taylor. How would you rank those quarterbacks?
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence and Tyrod over Caleb this week, but I have Trevor Lawrence top 10. I think you should play him. Tyrod is one spot ahead Caleb. Who was the other one?
Jordan Love.
Did I
against the
rank him?
Bears, same matchup.
Oh, I have him one spot ahead of Trevor Lawrence, top 10. So I would
Okay.
go Lover Lawrence, baby.
Yeah. I'm honestly even as good as Caleb has been in spots for fantasy, he's had huge games. We talked about that schedule coming up. They do have Niners week 17 that I'd love to have Caleb for, but I gotta get to week 17. So I think I might have to pivot to those quarterbacks. Just another quick one. We touched on Jalen Coker. There's a devoted shall we call cokehead following for Jalen out there. Good player, more reliable than Xavier Legette, I would say. And yeah, with the whole Tet discussion, you kind of watch that film. Tet, it really is. He's also attracting all the coverage, isn't he? So that opens up a lot of room for players like Coker. Also interested to see the Bryce Young splits. First 10 weeks of the season, it's never threw the ball deep, and then since that Falcons game, they've been letting the ball loose. So, great advice from Kyle. Do check out Kyle's work at the goal line guide, but very high in the Packers passing. So I'll be putting the claims in that order. You say love Tyrod then T-Law, or love T-Law Tyrod?
Love T-Law Tyrod.
Love T-Rod Tylaw. Yeah. You got it.
I don't know if I did get it. I heard T-Rod and T-Lod over there.
Tyrod. Tyrod's last.
Got you. Well, great show, guys. Mike, I know, hopefully if you're listening out there, I hope we did a good job in your stead. quick roundup before we head out. Jamie, any quick thoughts?
Yeah, dude, check me out on the Sunday morning show, which I'm gonna be missing this week because I'm going to the Browns game to watch Shador Sanders throw for 700 yards. But no, right after we hop off of this, I'm gonna be hopping on the Fantasy Football Hustler live that we're all just answering your star sit questions. So let's get it.
Yes,
Get
sir. And Jordan?
get those waiver claims in. Last week of the regular season in most leagues. So looking forward to next week. Mike, you'll be back. Travel safe, my guy. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. And really the same thing for me. I guess I'm not used to going last of this, but yeah, great show, guys. Thanks to all the viewers out there for tuning in with us and the great questions. Really kept this moving along. You can find me at Small Talk FF. We all hope to join you in good spirits as we get into the fantasy playoffs. If I'm a little down, you'll know why, because I have a lot of somehow, guys, quick tangent. The scheduling in my leagues have been insane because all the leagues that I'm still like competing for the playoffs, like I need a win. I'm 7-6 going up against every other 7-6 team in like 4 different leagues, man. It really feels like the playoffs have started. Someone was telling me today, like, I can't believe the season's almost over. It's like the season is just beginning now. Isn't it just? But we'll be here next week on Tuesday at 6:30 PST, 9:30 Eastern on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.